Welcome back.
Another episode of EMS Mastermind.
How are you?
I'm good. Challenged because just like the studios, the businesses that are listening, there's good months and there's bad months.
Yes.
And when there's a bad month, it's so easy to focus on the negative. And I think a lot of the inputs that we've been giving ourselves recently has been about changing the state, about realizing the blessings that we have in the moment, about fearing the future or looking at the past with a specific negative lens. So I think this episode is also one to remind people that people who are showing up, that are actually doing the work, that are trying to solve other people's problems like we do as business owners, that it's challenging, but if we want to grow, it's the path, right? It's the fastest path to growth.
Yes. And actually, pain is like whenever you experience like pain through obstacles, opposition, challenges, it's a blessing. It's actually a gift packaged with problems, and it can trigger you. In my case, I struggle a lot with when these things happen, it triggers something in me and I get anxious and I have a hard time accepting it, that accepting the challenge, because I get scared, right? And I think that's human, right? But I also know that we need pain in order to change. And I feel like this whole journey is always about growing, changing, growing, changing, growing, changing, adapting. Like in training, we call it super compensation, right? I mean, you destroy the muscle grows back together stronger and you evolve, right? And I feel like in business, it's like you hit your boundary or you hit like a certain, like level, and it comes in forms of oppositions, challenges, problems, obstacles. And it's actually life inviting you to grow, basically. And I think that was really the last weeks. And we saw it with our customers and we're experiencing it as well, where, okay, what do I do with that? Am I just gonna ignore it, be like, oh, I don't want to deal with that, that's very uncomfortable? Or am I gonna face it and learn from it and strengthen myself? And because of trying to solve the problem, I really have to acquire new wisdom, new knowledge, and I come out on the other side a better person. And also, like, then it's gonna manifest in the outside because then things get better.
Yeah. And I think that if I'm not open to the new wisdom or to making the changes, that I don't know what I don't know, right? And I think when I hit that wall, I want to go back to like things that used to work or things that I'm comfortable with or tools that I've already used but aren't working. And in that moment, I need to pause and I need to learn new skills and take certain actions in the right direction that I haven't before. And it's scary. And I think about our one of our clients, and I think about Sebastian, right? And he told me a hilarious story. He's going to be upset that I said this, but he has gamified calling leads where it's just like fun for him now. Every time that a new lead comes in, him and his team are like looking at it like who can get to it first and who can reach out first. And he literally told me yesterday that he was in the bathroom and he was taking care of business. And while that was happening, he took a call from a lead, or he called the lead right away because he didn't want to waste seconds knowing that that lead might not pick up if it's a couple of minutes later. And I think that there's so much to be learned from that moment, because we also have other clients that as soon as a lead comes in, they get frustrated.
No, they're like, I don't want to deal with that. But if you are in a phase where you feel like that, like where you like a new lead comes in, why even bother? They're cold. It's gonna suck. They anyways don't take that serious. It's your invitation to be like, maybe I'm the best on the training ground and I'm the best coach and I've mastered this part. But this is your invitation to master a very, very important part of your business. And I relate to that, like not wanting to looking at departments of your business. And I think it's so important to look at whatever clinic or studio you are in, to not look at it as a studio or like a wellness spa or like a clinic, but looking at it as a business. And then pick the department that you are trying to hide from, that you're trying to run away from, and be like, okay, let me master this now. Like, let's do this. Take on the
Pull up the
challenge.
sleeves.
Pull up the sleeves. Let's take the challenge, because everything that you put your mindset to, everything you put your focus on, right? The energy flows into this. And with repetition, you're gonna master the skill and you're gonna get so good at it. And when it comes to lead nurturing, there's so much repetition in it in itself. It's always like kind of the same cycle, and it's a numbers game. And I think if you don't run from it, you can really master it, where it becomes fun, like Sebastian. And I remember the first calls we had, and it's so similar to many other customers that always say the same thing. I do everything. I do everything, and I don't think there's anything that we can do more when it comes to lead nurturing. And then we created, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a checklist, a lead nurturing checklist. And when you look at the checklist, I know that no one does all the steps with lead nurturing as it's supposed to be. Because if everyone would have insane results, right? But it takes action, it takes commitment, it takes consistency. And people just like, it's like, especially if you begin that journey, it's hard, right? It's very hard, because you're going to deal with rejection. You're going to deal with people being rude to you. You're going to deal with doubting yourself, like, oh my God, am I ever going to be good at this? Am I ever going to master this game, right? But here's the thing, let's say 15 points that are on that checklist, right? From starting to call people twice, right? There's also some tricks really to it, like looking them up, sending them a message, like trying to get hold of them, and then really working yourself through the master conversion guide. We wrote a guide in each stage, how to communicate, like how to reach out to them. And it's really an everyday task that you have to do, or someone of your team has to do. But I think that's so important. Someone needs to own it. And that's something I see, that sometimes in an organization of a spa, clinic, or studio, no one really wears the hat, where it's like, this is my responsibility. I have to take care of lead nurturing, and I'm working through the checklist. But again, the checklist has 15 points. That's it. Once you get used to that, remember the beginning when you would other task in your company, right? Maybe you don't like accounting. Maybe you don't like training. Maybe you don't like whatever it is. Everything has a standard operation procedure, an SOP, and there's KPIs to it. The sooner you're willing to face it and take action on it and then repeating it, the more repetition it's the mother of skill. You're gonna be unbeatable in it. And when you do it, rest assured, many of your competitors, they're not gonna do it. They're still sitting there complaining that leads doesn't work. They're still sitting there blaming someone else, while you are in the game of mastering it and becoming the best. So you have a choice, right? And I think it's so much more exciting to do this and be like, bring it on. I want to learn how to nurture leads, and I want to learn how to convert it. And it's so inspiring to see in Sebastian case, from someone that was so upset,
blaming the system, blaming Meta, blaming everything except himself.
And now seeing how he turned to the other side and he takes on the challenge, and I love, and and he gets the results now, and it's a beautiful thing to see. It's so encouraging, right? And
it reminds us why we're doing what we're doing.
But also it taught me also, if someone is a crybaby, right? I'm gonna use that term, crybaby. Someone that's really like me, very in self-pity mode, nothing works, to not comfort them, but instead, I'm gonna kick your butt. Stop crying and take action. There was this free event of Tony Robbins, right? I think that was also 2.5 weeks ago. Amazing event. He does that once a year. It's a 3-day event. It's for free. And then you can buy into his Unleash the Power program. And I've done Unleash the Power a couple of times. I have been to his Leadership Academy. And it's so good to get that reminder that, the answer to your problem is massive action, not massive complaint. The answer to your problem is massive action. Take action on it and not on something else. Don't get distracted, but the thing that really bugs you right now, it's almost like it pushes you to, hey, wake up, you have to take some action, you have to do something about it.
Yeah. One of the problems that I think a lot of wellness studios and EMS studios face is, especially with staff, that, and you'd hit on it, on ownership. So what happens when you have staff that it's like, oh, all I do is training, or they feel that they can't make their staff do other actions that are actually moving the needle forward. And I feel so many times that they feel stuck because it's like, well, that's not what they're supposed to do, or to take that responsibility on. So how would you help someone that feels like their staff doesn't want to take that ownership, or how to encourage them to do that?
So when that happens, normally is because like the staff really looks at it just as a job, and they don't feel like they are part of it, part of a bigger vision, right? So what I did, like you're talking about one part of the business that I owned back in my operations, and everyone who ever worked with me, like my former trainers, will like confirm that. And I'm start smiling right away because I miss those times. Because I just mentioned the Leadership Academy that I visited from Tony Robbins. So leadership was very important for me, like how to learn, how to lead people, and how to keep your team motivated, but also how to keep your own stuff accountable and responsible, right? So I've created that onboarding system with trainers, like they would run through an onboarding system, but it wasn't only learning how to be an EMS trainer. Like we had a sales coaching, we had I think it was 6 different areas where they where they got educated and they got trained in, right? And it didn't stop there. I had every single week a team meeting with the whole team in the studio, right? We would come together and there was an agenda. And I would start the team meeting with appreciation. There's so many videos of it, right? It was so beautiful. So the whole team, and in my big flagships, we would be like 10, 12 people, 15 people sometimes. So it's a big team, right? So we would start off by everyone would like give each other high fives. In our studios, people would hug each other. It started with the right tone, with we appreciate each other. Like team stands for together, each achieves more. So that was the motto. Like I would lead my team in my studios. Not great, someone else does it, but together each one achieves more. And after appreciation, everyone would say something nice about another person. I would pick one person and said, hey, I really appreciated how this week, when I was very back to back, you cleaned up the room for me, you took away the towels, something like that. So the energy in the room, I get chills because it was so beautiful. It started with such high energy of appreciation, of supporting each other. And then there was part of where people would prepare a certain topic. I had amazing trainers, right? We had kinesiologists, and that also everyone would participate in that team meeting. So it wasn't only me. Obviously, I had topics that I prepared and I taught them, and I love teaching, I love education, but it was them also participating, having a part in it, right? So they would do a part about stretching, right? And then next week I did a part on sales. So there was always like a 15 minutes block where we would learn something new, very important for the brain, right? So no one got bored really, right? And then we moved into a part of accountability. So every one of my had a sheet where they listed the trial sessions they had, the signups they had, the renewals they had, and the referrals they got. And they would work on that week per week, and everyone would share their results. People would clap their hands. So there was appraisal is very important too, because sometimes you can have unmotivated staff, or they're not willing to go the extra mile for you because they're not feeling seen. They're feeling like I'm just doing these trainings back to back to back, but I'm not seen in my organization, right? But in my time, every trainer, like especially the ones that really work hard and get to their numbers and hit their goals, they would get appraisal every week. And the others would see that, and the others would be like, oh my God, I want to do good numbers. And we did a metrics. I do this today with my customers, and I keep on repeating it. Like, so what was your win? What did you do last week, right? And I started doing this with my trainers. I know that matrix is very important to look at the numbers, right? So after everyone shared their wins and their succeeding and everything, we had announcements. We would celebrate birthdays, right? Farewells when someone would leave. And then we would end up, we had our own dance. Like we had what do you call that? Like, these powerful moves with boys. Like I had this trainer, Elvis, he was from Africa, and we had this super cool dance. We would always come in the middle, 1, 2, 3, my 30 minutes. It just was very important for me to have it. And I feel my team really loved it. And it gave the right energy. No one could hide. It was one of the happiest times in my operations, one of the things I love to do the most. And it was also sometimes difficult, when you had a very negative trainer and you would feel it, and I had to face it and I had to prepare for it. And obviously it takes a lot of energy leading this team meetings but looking back, I cherish those moments with my teams, and then obviously we would have bonding days. We would do like team days where we would go to Fujairah, hike in the desert. We would go play, like, what is it called? Paintball. Or, we would go to these rooms.
Oh, yeah.
What is it called?
Where you have to like find the key to get out.
Yes, exactly. Secret rooms or what I called. But overall, that is something I really enjoyed. It took effort. It took preparation. It took effort. I had to show up on days that I didn't feel great, but when I scroll through my phone and I see those old memories, 2014, 15, 16, 17, all these years that I was running my teams, and I cherish these moments, and I miss my trainers, because that made us grow very close to each other too, because we're not working only alongside each other, but it really helped to create a culture. It helped create a culture where we look out for each other, where we support each other. And I miss that.
That's awesome. And I think that you're right. That is the key on bringing to light, like, and how to get people to do more than just their job. So Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I also have I do have all these extra resources for you available. I have the agenda for the team meeting. I have a full course on leadership, team building available on EMS Academy.
Awesome. And just go to emsmastermind.com and you can check that out. Another area that, because you talked about vision and how important it is, and a quote, I can't remember who said it, but the bigger the vision, the bigger the opposition. And we just had somebody in one of our clients that got a nasty message from someone that apparently got triggered for using a database that she has. And he happened to be on it. And he just got so upset that she would reach out to talk about her business. And I think that's so ridiculous, but I also want to bring it up because I feel that there's so much fear around what will people think. And I think that getting over that hill to do something bigger than what everyone expects you to do is so important. And that you are going to rub people the wrong way. Unfortunately, that's a casualty. And it really was about that person and their issue.
It's not about the reactivation campaign that we were running. I've been trying to read this book. I haven't finished it yet. It's called Approval Addiction, The Silent Killer for Success. I forgot the guy that wrote it.
Siebold,
right?
Tim Siebold?
Yeah.
He's good.
We can put it in the text of the description here. But it made me realize we are pretty much raised in the Western world to please everyone, to not step on people's toes, to, think before you speak, not to upset anyone. And I do that too. When I get, for me, it's the worst upsetting someone. But I realized it's wrong because you cannot succeed if you constantly look out not to upset someone, right? And because you're taking also on other people's issues. In that particular case, it's clearly that guy's idea of what is ethical and what is not. And when you see the message, it's almost like he would want it to do something like that.
Exactly.
It's like him being like, I could have advertised my business, but I didn't. Yeah, but that's your problem. This person has all the right. It's nothing unethical. It's nothing illegal to do that. And honestly, opposition and getting attention is a good sign. What you have to overcome in that moment is not stepping back and avoiding that. What you have to overcome is your fear of upsetting people.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's about face that it makes you feel very uncomfortable, observe it, accept it, right? Like, I love how Rickard Tolle says, when you trigger it, what you have to do is to really practice intense presence.
How would that look like practically for some people listening? How can they quickly do that?
Observe what you're feeling.
Okay.
Like, observe your thoughts.
So like where the feeling is. Like right now, let's say I have a feeling right now, I'll be honest, I have a feeling of like anxiousness and I feel it right in my chest. So I'm feeling it. Okay. What's next?
Observing it, completely going into the present, realizing the now, where you at. What is the air, the sounds? It's raining right now outside here. Like, coming back to the present moment and realizing that nothing is really threatening you. Because what can happen if you receive a message like this, that you can get back into survival. Because you literally feel that something is threatening your existence. The truth is, right now where you at, nothing can threaten you. There's no danger. And also, when you are trying to observe what's happening instead of taking the next action to just not to feel that and to avoid another situation like this, you don't get to the bottom of why you got triggered at the first place, if that makes sense. Just own it. It's okay to be triggered. There's nothing wrong in feeling like that. But I love, I was looking for so long how to practically face moments where you get triggered, right? Because the very human natural response is make it go away, not engaging in anything that can cause another situation like this where I can get triggered like that. But what are the chances that you will never, ever again step on someone's shoes?
It's going to happen.
And especially if you want to succeed, you need to step on many, many people's shoes. And think of the most successful people in the world. Are there people that are not stepping on anyone's shoes?
They're polarizing.
They're polarizing, right? But it doesn't help you when you feel like almost like your life is threatening and you get this physical
or
reaction.
You stop everything you're doing because that one person is bothered.
And I love the practical tip from someone like Eckhart Tolle, because I can use that in my day-to-day life and I can be like, okay, I'm going to get triggered because I want to grow up. I want to be successful. That means I'm going to upset some people on the way because I might not say the right things. But it's way more freeing that I'm able to do what I want to do, say what I want to say, right? And have now a tool that can help me understand why I have a physical reaction to it. And I can also learn so much more about myself and my fear. It's more interesting to see, so we had an amazing investor, and I will not disclose his name. He is still a big supporter, and I have so much respect and appreciation for this person. And when we built our brand, My 30 Minutes, and back then I used to live in Dubai, I got introduced to powerful people in order to get the information about this amazing tool, electromuscle stimulation, out, but also to receive their feedback going into new markets. And back then there was almost no EMS in the US. There were different companies that would work on the FDA approval. And obviously there was this dream and vision of bringing electromuscle stimulation in form of franchises to the US market. Back in the day, we had like a little shop in a club in New York. And I traveled and I certified the first personal trainers there. And in general, there were a couple of years where I would travel to different countries, introducing electromuscle stimulation and getting a feel of what is possible. And there was a time where I would train many different people in different countries, people of influence. And I never would Google anyone up front because I didn't want to go there. I wanted just to train that person in front of me and wanted to give them the best experience they had.
I think a lot of people can probably relate to like giving a session or training a session to someone that they don't necessarily feel is the right fit for their studio or their place. And it's okay to, after you go through an experience, like we said, we don't have to people please. We can say no.
Yeah.
Right. And we can say, like, if that person isn't a right fit, like, hey, you're not a right fit.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that, like, now with, I think it's everything that happens is here to make you grow into, gives you the opportunity to find your path and to find peace and to know that in the end, you know, it's important to know that you're going to have opposition and that not everything is going to work out, but overall that my I got really protected in all of this, you know. And I don't know, today I feel just blessed that I've been able to learn so much and came out on the other side okay. And I just feel God's grace in all of that. And I want to talk about the US market because fast forward, the electromuscle stimulation has arrived in the US. Like the vision that we had has arrived, but you see there's still darkness. We're still fighting like a lot of opposition with electromuscle stimulation in the US market. And one reason is the biggest franchisor right now in the US market creates so much pain because there are so many franchisees, they see the opportunity and it is an opportunity, and then they get sold into a concept that's so broken. And it breaks my heart because I speak with franchisees, they're crying on the calls. You have to imagine they are gonna sold a concept that's broken. They have to pay that franchisor 9.5% of the revenue, and they're trapped. And I have been in situations in my life where I felt I was trapped, how to get out of it. It's heartbreaking, right? But I want to say this because there is a way out, right? One, I want to caution you. If you listen to this episode right now because you are interested in electromuscle stimulation and the big opportunity, I want to tell you it is an opportunity. Is a franchise system the opportunity and the solution? I want to question that. And what I see is that people look at powerful institutions and powerful people, and that's the answer. And I think my message is here is it's not always the answer, because people buy into that particular franchise because of their strength, because of their size. Just because many people doing it doesn't mean many people doing it right. Yesterday we were on a call with someone from Denmark, and Denmark right now has also been a country where most studios follow like one strategy, right? Because there has been one dominant supplier in the market. And it really shakes that person because she's like, but they're all doing that. And it can make you doubt yourself. Am I doing the right thing because I'm doing something different? But I want to remind you, just because a lot of people running into one direction, that doesn't mean it's the right direction. Because in this case, the biggest country, like in the West, like the biggest country, like the US, with the biggest franchise, and it seems like because they're so big, they have it together. They don't. Their price strategy is broken.
Their offers.
Their training concept is broken. They're trying to turn it around, but they're making mistakes again. Their offer is horrible. And I'm glad that I got invited by a couple of them where we are their last resource to turn things around, and they have the courage to do that. And we're seeing amazing results with these. And it's difficult and hard, but I just thought it's important to share because we can get so blindsided by that illusion, you know, by thinking people of power and influence and organizations of power and influence, we give them that trust. We have to really look behind the curtains, right? And see, are these talking to single franchisees, are they really doing good? And what is right now happening is that most of them, they're bleeding money every month and they are really desperate. And it's so sad because it's not that EMS is not working, but that business model is simply not working.
Yeah. And question, right? Question and look for, push through the opposition, the people pleasing, and look for the right offer, the right system, and the right way to take your business to that next level. Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Jemima. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, everyone.